Welcome to Legends in History. I am Justin. I am a drummer and I'm going to be presenting you. Yes, you the person that is watching right now, and I hope you're going to be watching more upcoming videos, the series Legends in History. Michael Jackson. In today's episode, which is the first one, we are gonna go through Michael's awards, history, events, and overall career.
Michael Joseph Jackson was born in Gary, Indiana on August 29, 1958. He was the eighth of 10 children in the Jackson family, a working-class African-American family living in a two-bedroom house on Jackson Street. Michael Jackson made his public debut in 1964 with his older brothers Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, and Marlon as a member of the Jackson 5, which is later known as the Jacksons. Michael began his solo career in 1971 while at Motown Records. He became a solo star with his 1979 album Off the Wall. His music videos, including those for Beat It, Billie Jean, and Thriller from his 1982 album Thriller, are credited with breaking racial barriers and transforming the medium into art form and promotional tool. Thriller became the best-selling album of all time, while Bad was the first album to produce 5 US Billboard Hot 100 #1 singles. Michael Jackson is one of the best-selling music artists of all time, with estimated sales of over 400 million records worldwide. His honors include 13 Grammy Awards, 6 Brit Awards, a Golden Globe Award, 39 Guinness World Records, including the most successful entertainer of all time. In 1964, Michael and Marlon joined the Jackson Brothers, a band formed by their father which included Jackie, Tito, Jermaine as backup musicians playing congas and tambourine. Later in 1965, Michael began sharing lead vocals with Jermaine, and the group's name was changed to the Jackson 5. The Jackson 5 recorded several songs for a Gary record label, Stilltown Records. Their first single, Big Boy, was released in 1968. Bobby Tiller brought the Jackson 5 to Motown and produced some of their early Motown recordings, including a version of Who's Loving You. In January 1970, I Want You Back became the first Jackson 5 song to reach #1 on the US Billboard Hot 100, and it stayed there for 4 weeks. The Jackson 5 left Motown in 1975, signing with Epic Records and renaming themselves the Jacksons. The Jacksons continued to tour internationally and released 6 more albums between 1976 and 1984. Between 1972 and 1975, he released 4 solo studio albums with Motown. Michael Jackson's 5th solo album, Off the Wall, established him as a solo performer and helped him move from the bubblegum pop of his youth to more complex sounds. Michael Jackson recorded with Queen's lead singer Freddie Mercury from 1981 to 1983, recording demos of State of Shock, Victory, There Must Be More to Life Than This. The recordings were intended for an album of duets, but according to Queen's manager Jim Beach, the relationship soared when Michael brought a llama into the recording studio and Michael was upset by Mercury's drug use. On March 25, 1983, Michael reunited with his brothers for Motown 25, Yesterday, Today, Forever, an NBC television special. Wearing a glove decorated with rhinestones, he debuted his moonwalk dance, which Jeffrey Daniel had taught him 3 years earlier, and it became his signature dance in his repertoire. At the 26th Annual Grammy Awards, Thriller won 8 awards, and Michael won an award for the E.T., the Extraterrestrial Storybook. Winning 8 Grammys in one ceremony is a record he holds with the band Santana. The success transformed Michael into a dominant force in the global pop culture. Michael had the highest royalty rate in the music industry at that point, with about $2 for every album sold, which is equivalent to $6 in 2022, and was making record-breaking profits. Time described Michael's influence at that point as a star of records, radio, rock video, a one-man rescue team for the music business, a songwriter who sets the beat for a decade, a dancer with the fanciest foot on the street, a singer who cuts across all the boundaries of taste and style and color too, and the New York Times wrote, "In the world of pop music, there is Michael Jackson and there is everybody else." Michael Jackson's first album in 5 years, Bad, was highly anticipated, with the industry expecting another major success. It became the first album to produce 5 US #1 singles: I Just Can't Stop Loving You, Bad, The Way You Make Me Feel, Man in the Mirror, and Dirty Diana. Michael won an award of achievement at the American Music Awards in 1989 after Bad generated 5 #1 singles, became the first album to top the charts in 25 countries, and the best-selling album worldwide in 1987 and 1988. The Bad World Tour ran from September 12, 1987 to January 14, 1989. In Japan, the tour had 14 sellouts and drew 570,000 people, nearly tripling the previous record for a single tour. In March 1991, Michael renewed his contract with Sony for $65 million, which is equivalent to $140 million in 2022, a record-breaking deal, beating Neil Diamond to renew a contract with Columbia Records. In 1991, he released his 8th album, Dangerous, co-produced with Teddy Riley. It was certified 8 times platinum in the US. In the US, the first single, Black or White, was the album's highest charting song. It was #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for 7 weeks. At the end of 1992, Dangerous was the best-selling album of all time worldwide, and Black or White was the best-selling single of the year worldwide. Michael founded the Heal the World Foundation in 1992. The charity brought unprivileged children to Michael's ranch to use the theme park rides and sent millions of dollars around the globe to help children threatened by war, poverty, and disease. Michael visited Africa in early 1992. On his first stop in Gabon, he was greeted by more than 100,000 people, some of them carrying signs that read, "Welcome home, Michael." During his trip to Ivory Coast, Michael was crowned King Sani by a tribal chief. The Dangerous World Tour ran between June 1992 and November 1993 and grossed $100 million. Michael performed outside the US for 3.5 million people in 70 concerts. Part of the proceeds went to Heal the World Foundation. Michael sold the broadcast rights of the tour to HBO for $20 million, a record-breaking deal that still stands. In June 1995, Michael released the double album History, Past, Present, Future, Book 1. The first disc, History Begins, is the greatest hits album. The second disc, History Continues, contains 13 original songs and 2 cover versions. The album debuted at #1 on the charts and has been certified for 8 million shipments in the US. It is the best-selling multi-disc album of all time, with 20 million copies sold worldwide. History received the Grammy nomination for Album of the Year. The New York Times reviewed it as a testimony of a musician whose self-pity now equals his talent. The first single from History was Scream, Childhood. Scream, a duet with Michael's youngest sister Janet, protests the media's treatment of Michael during the 1993 child abuse allegations against him. The second single, You're Not Alone, holds the Guinness World Record for the first song to debut at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. At the 1996 Brit Awards, Michael's performance of Earth Song was disrupted by Pulp singer Jarvis Cocker, who was protesting what Cocker saw as Michael Jackson's Christ-like persona. Michael said the stage invasion was disgusting and cowardly. In September 2001, 2 30th anniversary concerts were held at Madison Square Garden to mark Michael's 30th year as a solo artist. Michael performed with his brothers for the first time since 1984. The show also featured Usher, Whitney Houston, Destiny's Child, Liza Minnelli, and Slash. On January 9, 2002, Michael Jackson won his 22nd American Music Award for Artist of the Century. Later that year, an anonymous surrogate mother gave birth to his 3rd child, Prince Michael Jackson II, who has been conceived by artificial insemination. On November 20, Michael briefly held blanket over the railing of his Berlin hotel room, 4 stories above ground level, prompting widespread criticism in the media. Michael apologized for the incident, calling it a terrible mistake. Beginning in May 2002, a documentary film crew led by Martin Baescher followed Michael for several months. The documentary, broadcast in February 2003 as Living with Michael Jackson, showed Michael holding hands and discussing sleeping arrangements with a 12-year-old boy. He said that he saw nothing wrong with having sleepovers with minors and sharing his bed and bedroom with various people, which aroused controversy. He insisted that the sleepovers were not sexual and that his words had been misunderstood. In October 2003, Michael received the key to the city of Las Vegas from Mayor Oscar Goodman. In mid-2006, Michael moved to Grouse Lodge, a residential recording studio near Rosemount, County Westmeath, Ireland. There he began work on a new album with the American producers Will I Am and Rodney Jenkins. On November 15, Michael briefly joined in on a performance of We Are the World at the World Music Awards in London, his last public performance, and accepted the Diamond Award for sales of 100 million records. In March 2009, amid speculation about his finances and health, Michael announced a series of comeback concerts. This Is It, at a press conference at the O2 Arena. Michael moved to Los Angeles, where he rehearsed in the weeks leading up to the tour under the direction of the choreographer Kenny Ortega. On June 25, 2009, less than 3 weeks before his concert residency was due to begin in London, with all concerts sold out, Michael died from a cardiac arrest caused by a propofol and benzodiazepine overdose. Conrad Murray, his personal physician, had given Michael various medications to help him sleep at his rented mansion in Humbly Hills, Los Angeles. Paramedics received a 911 call at 12:22 p.m. Pacific time and arrived 3 minutes later. Michael was not breathing and CPR was performed. Resuscitation efforts continued en route to Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center, and for more than an hour after Michael's arrival there, were unsuccessful, and Michael was pronounced dead at 2:25 p.m. Pacific time.